to our next topic, catalyzing economic growth with sustainable infrastructure. Now, we've been hearing this term quite a lot in the past few panels, but this one will cover in more detail the investment landscape, a comprehensive, more of an exploration of the current investments in renewable energy and network infrastructure across the growing markets. We're talking about bridging the digital divide, which is the whole focus of this event, and building bridges as well to accelerate telecom infrastructure for digital inclusion, as well as identifying some of the main catalysts, showcasing the leading private-public partnerships. Some of you have already shared some of these and examples as well. Before I introduce our moderator, 2 points I want to let you know. There will be Chinese translation provided for this upcoming panel. You can use your headsets. If you don't have a headset and you want one, just put your hand up and our ushers will come to you and bring you a handset for the translation. I'd like to invite you, please, to come if you'd like to sit right in the front so we are not dispersed, and this can become a conversation for all of us. And here are the headsets. The moderator for this panel has worked for the Financial Times as editor-in-chief of the ftchinese.com since April of 2015. He brings a massive wealth of experience in this field and has also held editorial leadership roles and specialized in managing online and multimedia operations at several large news organizations. Please welcome Feng Wang, Editor-in-Chief, ftchinese.com.
Thank you very much. I would like to ask the three speakers from my panel to please join me on stage, and I will make introductions one by one. Thanks. Thanks a lot. My name is Wang Feng. I'm the editor-in-chief of ftchinese.com. It's my great pleasure to introduce three experts from the field of sustainable infrastructure investment. Each one of them from a different background, from academic to industry to trade union. First, I would like to introduce Professor Fan Jihong. He's the Senior Director of the Shanghai Yangtze Delta Innovation Institute from China. Second, Mr. Silvio Barros. He is a board consultant of the FIEP Federation of Industries from the state of Paraná, Brazil. And third, Mr. Ying Dai. He's the Executive Director and Senior Vice President of CALB Group, also from China. As I mentioned, the three speakers today, they're from different backgrounds, from corporate to industry to trade union to academic. First, I would like to ask all three speakers to please tell us a bit more about your personal background, about your expert field and your experience. From there, we can then try to define what your concept of sustainable infrastructure and sustainable infrastructure investment looks like and should be. First, please, Professor Fan.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Jihong Fan from China. I used to be a nuclear physicist, but I'm now working for National Innovation Center of Yangtze Delta. It's a national innovation platform. Its main duty, we can say, like two-way bridges. Today's summit is super bridge. We are the bridge of global innovation community to Yangtze Delta River, and also a bridge from academia to industry. Our main task is to accelerate new technology utilization in new renewable energy, energy storage, new material, biotech, and IoT technology, and smart manufacturing. We invest the startup teams, and we help them to find money, or we can help them to enter the market.
Yes, thank you, Professor Fan. As he said, he is a nuclear scientist and also headed up one of China's big state investment firms related to nuclear power investment. As we get into more technical details later, please feel free to switch to Chinese.
Okay.
Mr. Barros?
Thank you very much, Mr. Fang, for inviting us for this discussion. And I'm from Brazil, the 5th largest country in the world, 210 million people. And my background is a civil engineer specialized in environmental engineering and sustainability. I used to be a politician, so I have this public partnership background. And the reason I'm here is that we have a federation of industries in one of the states in Brazil, which is the 4th biggest economy in the country. And this federation is developing right now what we call a technology advancement program, where we want to identify new technologies that can be improved in our industries throughout the state, so that we can surf in the new wave of sustainability and the next economy, which is the net zero economy. So we are looking for investors, for knowledge, for companies that are already working on different fields, that can help us to improve our base, our industrial base. And this is what I'm doing here, is representing the private sector of the industry in Brazil. And also, we are looking for new infrastructure. Our state has the 2nd largest port in Brazil, and this port is being expanded. We are building a 1,000-kilometer railroad to the port, and this is a huge project that it's now looking for partnerships and funding, and also concession of roads that will feed in the grain-producing areas to export harbors and open up the market. So this is basically what we are looking for, and of course, trying to do it in the most sustainable possible way. So we'll be thinking and talking about investment and sustainability, also in new renewable energy. We are looking for the possibility to build in our state a factory, an industry for solar cells. Instead of sending silica all the way through China to China and bringing the cells back, the idea is to look for partners to build the cells there so that we can supply the entire South American market. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Barros. Mr. Dai comes from CALB Group. That's one of China's largest manufacturers of lithium-ion batteries, as well as a power storage facility operator. Could you tell us more about your own background, as well as the business that your company is developing in China?
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm the Executive Director and Senior Vice President from CLB. As Mr. Wang just introduced, my company is a globalized high-tech battery company. We mainly deal with lithium-ion batteries. We offer products to automobiles and also ESS, that is energy storage systems. Although you all know that the battery industry in China now is the leading role in the world right now. And my company is also the greatest company, developing speed. In recent years, we just globalized, not only in the industry, but also in the capital market. We are also now public company in Hong Kong at the moment. Thank you.
Great. Now that we have a better understanding about the industries you work in and your background from academic research to corporate to manufacturing, from politics to trade group, the one thing that this panel centers on is sustainable infrastructure. So based on your experience and the business you are in right now, could you each give us a definition of what sustainable infrastructure looks like in your group, as well as success examples that you have come across in your expert field and in your country of what a good sustainable infrastructure project or investment strategy looks like? Shall we start with Professor Fan?
Thank you, Mr. Wang. On my point of view, I think any development needs infrastructure. Then what is sustainable infrastructure? I think the infrastructure that provides renewable energy, renewable source, or use renewable energy, use renewable source, or help others to utilize renewable energy, to use renewable source or save energy. This kind of infrastructure should be called sustainable infrastructure. Then how to build this infrastructure? I think mostly we should rely on market capital. Let the investors to earn money from the use of this infrastructure. But sometimes it's too early to get benefit for the investors. Then the government should invest at the early time, such as just like we talked, for the quantum use of clean energy, of green energy, for hydrogen use, green hydrogen, we need a large pipe network. But large pipe network need a lot of money to build. But at first, it cannot be fully used, so the investors cannot earn money back. At this time, the government should invest the hydrogen transportation pipeline. Then, when this business get mature, then let the market capital to invest. Thank you.
Yes, thanks, Professor Fan. As you mentioned, the green hydrogen This is one area, actually, I think, between you and Mr. Barros, you probably have some commonality because Mr. Barros also mentioned similar projects. Although utilizing different technologies and potentially employing different business models. But we can probably go into more details later. So Mr. Barros, you mentioned your trade group right now represents various infrastructure investments in the state of Paraná in Brazil. What about already mature projects that have turned out to be successes both for investors, for the local community, for the government? Could you think of such examples from your state?
Sure. We have a road network that has been built by the government, of course, but then as the state is exporting a lot more, it's increasing its production, we need to duplicate. It's not enough to have just a single road. We have to have a network that works much better. Now, because it's already there and working, the new investment to duplicate those roads, then we open for the private market, for the private investors. We already have a market, we already have demand. Now it's time for a partnership between the government and the private sector to duplicate those roads. So at this very moment, we have 1,800 kilometers of railroad to be duplicated, only in our state. And we already have investments from the Singapore Sovereign Fund on this project, and also Saudi Arabia Sovereign Fund that is duplicating part of this network. So actually, in my understanding, as Mr. Fang, Dr. Fang just said, sustainable infrastructure is the infrastructure that can sustain itself. It's not only a question of building it in a sustainable way with a low impact, but the operation itself has to be sustainable. And this makes sure that the investor, the private investor, would be looking for ways of getting his money back because the operation is sustainable. And this, of course, applies to logistics, ports, roads, railroads, but also applies to energy and industrial processes. Our state has a lot of forest, replanted forest, and we are now looking for building public infrastructure, public buildings, schools and hospitals and administrative buildings in wood, because wood would actually capture CO2 instead of creating new emissions. So this is a question of public policy. So in my understanding, we will be able to improve sustainable infrastructure provided we have public policies that are focusing on doing it the right way and making sure that the private investment will be able to get its money back with profit. And so everybody is happy with the results. So in my understanding, this would be the description or the definition of sustainable infrastructure.
Right, Mr. Dai, as you mentioned, China is the undisputed leader in lithium battery technology as well as application in the world right now, but it didn't reach this status overnight. There were years, decades of investment, of trial and failure. In your own company's path to success, could you think of key lessons and experiences that you think might be beneficial to other countries and related industries?
Okay, thank you. I think it's a very good question. Since you just said China has I think the most successful industry chain in the world. Of course, besides this, we have a lot of experiences, also some failures. I think that's very common. To this topic, I think the Chinese government have made many measures, and which these measures are very forecast from 10 or 20 years ago. I think this is a very important fact. Okay. Secondly, I think I should take this example from my industry. Okay, because the lithium ion industry is one of the most favored industry now in the world, and it's also very important to our daily life. As to the infrastructure, I think infrastructure with sustainable characteristics not only needs to be green and healthy itself, but also needs to provide strong support for the green and healthy development for the entire society. I think that's a very core character, okay? Because sometimes you must provide green products through the green production. Okay, this is secondly. Thirdly, I think in China, the Chinese government also make many investment. The investment from the Chinese government is only the beginning. By now, with the development of technology and the industry, more and more enterprises, they will invest in this area, because with the development of the industry and the technology, more and more enterprises have found out that they have a successful mode to do this, and they can earn money. It all depends on time, okay? So I think for this topic, the most important thing is the entire chain and your advanced technology and your mass production. Okay, thank you.
Right. As our discussion goes into investment models and investment strategies, I think one common theme between all three speakers, you all mentioned the relationship and cooperation between the government and private companies, or PPP, public-private partnerships. Obviously, China and Brazil have gone through different paths in this specific field. So Professor Fan and Mr. Dai, I wonder if you can summarize in your own field the successful lessons from China, where the government worked with private companies, nurtured their capabilities, and as they grew into world-leading companies, it becomes a more healthy and sustainable model that probably offers valuable lessons to the rest of the world. Very briefly, could you, Professor Fan first, in terms of PPP, public-private partnership, what is the biggest lesson China has learned so far that could be beneficial to other emerging economies?
I think mostly we should rely on market mechanism. Chinese government, especially many local governments, they want to do more and more, and then their effective is not high, and the return is not good. So many PPP projects lose, and this maybe it's a lesson for others. I think only when market mechanism does not work, then the government can help. Lesser is better.
So as you mentioned, the impulse from local governments in terms of trying to do big things, trying to borrow as much money as possible, invest in huge projects.
Yeah.
Since in China, the central and local government relationship is more of a top-down, the central government probably needs to have better planning capabilities and step on the brake at the right time. Mr. Dai, what do you think? Do you agree with these lessons learned?
I think, well, in China, the infrastructure investment comes from the both government investment and market-oriented investment. Sustainable infrastructure investment is no exception. Okay. On one hand, the government provides financial support to the infrastructure. Okay. On the other hand, and I think this more important aspect, that is the technology of the industry is more important because financial can solve some problems, but not the whole problems. Okay, so in China, thanks to the technical developments, some substantial structures such as ESS stations and charging stations, battery changing stations, and new energy power stations are already in good shape with reasonable profits, and so attracting a large amount of financial investments. Now the construction and the management activities of the sustainable infrastructure projects in these fields are mainly controlled by the market, not the government. So that's why I said the government, they just make policies, they provide financial supports, and I don't think that only happened in China, because you know our industry is also a globalized industry. Main countries or areas, they will provide somehow some policies or some to these industries. So I think for the ESG topic, I think the government and the market, they are both very important, and each one should find its exact role. Just do what they must do.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dai. So our two experts from China mentioned the balance of state and local government power in terms of driving investment, and also government versus private companies in terms of development of technology, as well as the balance between technical development as well as investment. Mr. Barros, do these lessons sound vital to what's happening in Brazil right now, or do you have similar but somehow different balancing tricks that you need to maintain in your market?
Well, actually, I would like to participate in this discussion about China, because in our understanding, that the way we see it, China is now the leading country in photovoltaics. It came late into this market,
Yep.
but then it went forward, and now every single country that used to produce photovoltaics are producing it in China. Why? In our understanding, the government has decided to use its purchasing power to improve demand. So if the Chinese government says, we want the public buildings to generate its own energy, we want to create legislation that will benefit or even oblige new buildings to use or to generate its own power, then it creates demand. And when you create demand, this is what the private sector needs. And this is actually what Diane was saying, is that the private sector will then invest, because of course it has, the market is controlling this. So this is a lesson that we must learn, how to use in our country the purchasing power from the government to improve things that we believe are necessary, are sustainable, are important for the future. And I agree that ESG concept is something that can be improved through political, to public policies, to political by political influence. So yes, we understand that this is an example that we should follow. We are not doing it quite well yet, but of course we are looking at what China is doing, and we believe that considering that we have a lot of raw materials and we have a lot of production that could be transformed into something more valuable, we should learn the lesson as soon as possible. In our state, we are actually doing this, and the industry, the federation, is in partnership with the government to improve the policies that will help us.
It's interesting, you mentioned the Brazil government wants to bring more solar panel production capacity back into Brazil, since you already produce a lot of the raw materials. So it sounds like at the same time you're learning some of the PPP experiences from China, and you would be applying the same experiences to competing with China. So this creates a very interesting dynamic of the student in the end may learn from the teacher and then compete with the teacher. At some point, maybe teach its own lessons to the teacher as well. I think with that, that would be a very interesting scenario and questions for us to take back home from this panel. Again, I would like to thank all three of our speakers very much for sharing your experiences from your industries and your countries, and for looking at more competition, hopefully mutually beneficial competition between China and Brazil and potentially other emerging economies. Thank you so much.
Thank you.